Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight in today with something our sources say is that, well, maybe the single biggest financial decision you'll make.
That's right.
It's about retirement. Now, most people, they kind of push it off, right?
Right.
Think, oh, I'll deal with that in my 40s, maybe 50s.
It's the future me problem.
Well, exactly. But here's the thing. The math we've looked at, honestly, it's pretty brutal. If you wait that long, you are already way behind, like seriously behind.
Mm-hmm. And our goal today really is to unpack why starting early, specifically if you're in your 20s or 30s, is so incredibly powerful.
Right.
We want to show you how much that early start is literally worth in dollars, and maybe just as crucial, how much less effort it takes overall.
Okay, so let's dig into the core idea here. It all comes down to time. Time is like your secret weapon as a young investor. It's the biggest advantage you have.
It really is, and it's all about this engine called compounding.
Yeah.
Think of it like planting a seed. The earlier you plant it, the more seasons it has to grow.
A money tree, basically.
Pretty much. Your money starts making money, and then that money starts making its own money. It's not just steady growth, it ramps up. It gets steeper and steeper over time.
And the example in our sources just makes this crystal clear. Let's picture two people.
Okay.
Both want to retire at 65. Let's say they both get like an 8% return each year.
Okay. Standard scenario.
And they both decide to invest, say, $200 every single month. Seems reasonable.
Right. $200 a month.
But here's the difference. Investor one, they start right away at age 25.
Okay.
Investor two, they wait. They don't start until age 35, so just 10 years later.
10 years. Okay, what happens?
By the time they both hit 65, investor one, the early starter, they have almost double the money.
Double. Just from starting 10 years earlier.
Double. And get this, they didn't invest more total money overall. It's purely because that first decade gave their money so much more time to work its magic. That compounding effect.
That initial $200 a month put in at age 25 is doing way more heavy lifting than the $200 put in at age 35 or 45.
Exactly. That first decade builds a foundation that you just can't easily replicate later, even if you throw more money at it.
It really highlights that the time your money is invested often matters even more than the exact dollar amount, especially early on. You lose that leverage if you wait.
So, okay, the math is super clear. The advantage is huge. Why then? Why do so many people, smart people in their 20s and 30s, still put it off?
Well, that brings us to the mindset stuff, the psychological barriers.
Yeah. So maybe you, listening right now, maybe one of these sounds familiar.
Okay, the sources point to 3 really common traps. Trap number 1 is just, I'm too young, retirement is ages away, I'll start later.
Right. The procrastination station.
And we now know, based on the math, that's the single biggest mistake. You're basically giving away your most valuable asset, those early years of compounding time.
That delay is just so incredibly costly down the road. It means you have to save so much more later just to try and catch up.
Definitely. Okay, myth number 2. I just don't earn enough right now to save anything meaningful.
I hear that one a lot.
Yeah, and the answer here is always start small. Really small even. If you start early, like in your 20s, even $50, $100 a month, it makes a massive difference over decades.
It's about building the habit, right? Not necessarily the amount right away.
Precisely. It builds the muscle, the consistency, which leads right into the third myth. And this one's kind of tricky.
Okay.
It's the idea, okay, I know I should, but things are tight. I'll sort it out properly when I get my next raise or promotion, when I'm making more money.
The when I make more fallacy.
Exactly. And the behavioral insight here is really sharp. If you don't build that saving habit now, even when things are simpler, maybe fewer big expenses.
Like before mortgages and kids and all that.
Right. If you don't automate it now, you probably won't do it later either. What happens is lifestyle creep. You get that raise, and suddenly your spending just expands to fill the new income.
Yeah, that new money just gets absorbed if you're not careful.
Unless saving is already baked in, automatic, non-negotiable.
That makes total sense. You have to treat saving like a bill you have to pay, not something you do with leftovers. Okay, so we've hammered home the why. Compounding is king, start early. Now let's get practical. The how. Where should you actually put this money? Our sources focus on U.S. accounts, so let's stick to those.
Right. The where matters a lot because of taxes and potential free money. So priority number 1, almost universally, should be your workplace 401k plan. Specifically, contributing enough to get the full employer match if they offer one.
Match. Yeah, people call that free money.
Because it essentially is. If your employer matches, say, 50 cents for every dollar you put in, up to a certain limit, that's an immediate 50% return on your investment. You can't beat that anywhere else guaranteed.
Okay, quick question, though, because this comes up. What if you have, like, high-interest credit card debt? Should you still prioritize getting that 401k match first?
That is a really important real-world question. And generally, yes, you should still aim to get that full employer match first. That 50% or 100% return is just too good to pass up, and you usually only get one chance per year to capture it.
Okay.
However, if you've got truly crippling debt, like credit cards charging 25% interest or something awful, you might capture the match, but then pause additional 401k contributions beyond the match and aggressively attack that super high interest debt before moving to the next savings step.
Got it. So secure the match no matter what, then assess the debt situation for extra savings. Makes sense. Okay, match secured. What's next on the list?
Next stop is usually the Roth IRA. Roth accounts are powerful because they're simple, in a way. You put in money you've already paid taxes on after-tax dollars, but then all the growth, all the earnings for decades, it's completely tax-free. And when you take qualified withdrawals in retirement, also tax-free. Zero taxes later.
That tax-free withdrawal in retirement is huge, especially if you think you might be earning more and be in a higher tax bracket later in life.
Exactly. It's a strategic bet on future tax rates, or at least your future income level.
Okay, so Roth IRA is key. What about the traditional IRA? How does that fit in?
The traditional IRA is kind of the mirror image. You contribute pre-tax dollars. So you get a tax deduction now in the year you contribute. It lowers your taxable income today.
So the benefit is immediate.
It is. But the flip side is, when you take withdrawals from a traditional IRA in retirement, that money will be taxed as regular income.
Okay, so let's recap the strategy ladder. Step 1, 401k up to the full employer match. Don't leave free money behind.
Correct. Priority 1.
Step 2, fund a Roth IRA, aiming for the maximum allowed contribution if possible for that tax-free growth later. Step 3, if you've done both of those and still have money you want to save for retirement, go back and put more into your 401k up to its limit, or open a regular taxable brokerage account.
That's a very solid, efficient path. You grab the guaranteed return, then you maximize tax-free growth, then you keep going.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we know why to save early. We know where to put the money. Now the big question, how much? What's the target?
So the standard rule of thumb, especially if you're starting young 20s, early 30s, is to aim to save 15% of your gross income specifically for retirement.
15%. Okay, and that 15%, does that include the employer match?
Yes. Critically, it includes any money your employer contributes via the match. So if you put in 5% and your employer matches 5%, you're already at 10%. You just need to find another 5%.
Gotcha. And that 15% target, that's really achievable if you start early. But it hammers home the point that if you wait until your 40s or 50s.
Oh, yeah. If you wait, that number needs to jump significantly. You might need to save 20%, 25%, maybe even more, just to reach the same retiring goal as someone who started at 15% in their 20s. That's the penalty for lost time.
It really puts the pressure on later. Okay, so what if 15% just feels impossible right now? What's the advice?
Look, if 15% sounds daunting, don't let it paralyze you. The practical strategy is start where you can. Maybe that's 5%. Maybe it's 3%. Start somewhere. The key commitment isn't hitting 15% overnight. It's starting and then pledging to increase that percentage consistently. Every time you get a raise, bump it up 1%. Get a bonus. Put a chunk towards that savings goal. Just keep inching it upwards.
And the absolute best way to make sure that happens to maintain consistency.
Automate it. 100%. Set it up so the money comes out of your paycheck before you even see it or gets transferred automatically from your checking account the day you get paid.
Pay yourself first, literally.
Exactly. If you automate it, you adapt your spending to what's left. You don't really feel the pinch in the same way because the money designated for saving never really hits your usable budget. It builds the habit effortlessly.
Okay, this is great practical advice, but let's zoom out a bit. Beyond just having a bigger pile of money at 65, what are the other, maybe less obvious benefits of getting this discipline down early? The sources talk about superpowers.
Yeah, there are some really powerful advantages beyond just the final number. First, there's a huge psychological benefit. Just knowing you've started, that the compounding snowball is rolling. It brings a certain peace of mind. The hardest part, getting started, is done.
Okay, peace of mind. What else?
Second, your tolerance for risk is naturally higher when you're young. If you're 25, you have like 40 years until retirement. Your portfolio can experience ups and downs, even big downturns, and you have plenty of time to recover.
Right. You can afford to be a bit more aggressive with investments, aiming for potentially higher growth because you have that long time horizon.
Exactly. Someone who's 55 doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
They need to be more conservative as retirement approaches.
Makes sense. And there's one, right? Something about future life stages.
Yes, and this one's often overlooked. Life tends to get more expensive as you get older. Think about it. Maybe marriage, buying a house, having kids, paying for college. These big-ticket items often cluster in your late 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, the peak expense years.
Right. If you started saving seriously in your 20s, you've already done a lot of the heavy lifting for retirement. Before those massive expenses arrive and start squeezing your budget, it makes managing those later financial pressures much, much easier.
That really reframes the whole thing. It sets you up for less stress later.
Ah.
Okay, but it does require some trade-offs now, right? The sources mention things like maybe fewer impulse buys, packing lunch more often, maybe not upgrading your phone every single year. Small stuff, but it adds up.
It absolutely requires conscious choices. It's about prioritizing future freedom over immediate gratification sometimes. Skipping that daily fancy coffee or cutting back on weekly takeout, it might feel like a sacrifice.
It does feel like a sacrifice in the moment.
It can, but the way the sources frame it is crucial. It's not really a sacrifice, it's an investment. Those small amounts, saved consistently and compounded over decades, turn into literally hundreds of thousands of extra dollars by retirement.
Wow. Hundreds of thousands just from, like, coffee money.
Potentially, yes, over 30 or 40 years. So the choice becomes a little bit less convenience or luxury now versus potentially struggling or having severely limited options later.
Okay, so wrapping this all up for you, the listener, what's the absolute core message here?
I think it boils down to this. Retirement readiness isn't really about your current age. It's about the age you decide to start acting.
Action, not age. I like that. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you hold this incredible financial power, the power of time and compounding. You'll never have this much time working for you again.
Right. So the advice is start, even if it's small. Commit to being consistent. Automate it if you can. And then just let time do most of the incredibly hard work for you.
That early decision just builds so much resilience and gives you so many more options down the line. It really shifts the burden from your future, much busier self, to your present self who has the advantage of time.
Exactly. It front loads the effort in the easiest way possible, which, brings up a final thought to maybe chew on. If starting early lets you reach your goals with less saving overall and allows you to take on potentially higher growth investments because you have more time, isn't the decision to delay saving actually the far riskier move than any short-term bumps you might see in the market?